Caitlin and welcome to another video. Today we are going to be making enchiladas. We're going to be making vegan spinach and mushroom enchiladas with a salsa verde sauce to go on top. I really love enchiladas. Fun fact, my first job, official job, was as a hostess and then waitress at a Tex-Mex chain restaurant. And they didn't really have a lot of vegetarian options on the menu. I was vegetarian at the time, but they did have some spinach mushroom enchiladas, which I pretty much ate most of the time that I worked there. Ironically, this recipe is pretty much nothing like that recipe at all, except for the fact that there's spinach and mushrooms in it. But I was definitely inspired by that, but wanted to do my own fresh take. That recipe was still very like cheese and cream heavy, but this recipe is full of fresh veggies and spices and a nice tangy salsa verde that goes on top. And if you haven't heard of it before, salsa verde is a classic Mexican sauce made from tomatillos. We'll get into that in a little bit, but it definitely adds a nice fresh pop to the flavors for this recipe. So I think I've said recipe at least like 10 times by now, so let's just actually get into it. So first up, we're going to make our salsa verde, which is going to be the sauce for our enchiladas. You can buy this from the store, but it is way better if you make it from home. So the main base of salsa verde is tomatillos, which is a variety of tomato, but as you can see, they come with a husk on them. Their peak season is more in our summer, and I just found these at the grocery store next to my tomatoes, so you might be able to find them in your store too. Basically, you're just going to remove the husk from all of the tomatillos, and if any of them are sticking, sometimes a little bit of warm water will help too. So now moving on, we're going to bring a large pot of water to a boil and then lower our tomatillos into the water. I like to use a strainer here. I find that it minimizes splashing. And then we're going to add either jalapeno or serrano peppers. Serrano are more traditional, but jalapeno will work as well. And then we're also going to add half of a white onion. I just cut it that half in half again, so fourths. And then we're just going to bring everything to a boil and cook it until the tomatillos, as you can see, are turning more of a brownish green color and they become nice and tender. So oftentimes this vegetable is not eaten raw. I don't think it's ever eaten raw. Usually you have to cook it first before you prepare it. So once everything is nice and tender, we're going to carefully drain it and then transfer all of those hot vegetables into a blender. So just be careful here, don't burn yourself, you know. And then we're also going to add in some garlic cloves plus some cilantro. And then here I'm adding some vegan flavored chicken stock, but vegetable broth will work as well. And then a pinch of salt. Then we're just going to blend all of this together till we have our nice sauce. And sometimes salsa verde isn't cooked further and it's used more of a salsa for chips. But if you're using it in enchiladas like we are today, it's pretty traditional to cook it a little bit more. So here I'm just adding a little bit of oil to the same pot that we boiled our tomatillos in, shaking it up to coat the bottom evenly. And then from there, you just pour the sauce in and you're going to bring this to a simmer and then cook it down until the sauce reaches your desired thickness. So tomatillos are pretty acidic. If you don't want to use oil to cook the salsa down, you don't necessarily have to, but I definitely think that it helps cut the acidity of the tomatillos. So as you can see here, the salsa is going to become slightly, again, more brownish green in color because the brightness from the cilantro is cooking out. But once you have the desired thickness of your salsa verde, like I just mentioned, you're good to go. So you want to let it cool completely before you store it in jars. But this is the thickness that you're kind of going for once it's cooled. This is good on like pretty much anything where you would normally use hot sauce. So I would definitely recommend making it. So now we're going to move on and make our enchiladas. So we already made the sauce, but next up we're going to make our enchilada filling. So we're going to add some oil, or you can just use water, to a pan over medium heat. And then from there, we're going to add 1/4 of a thinly sliced white onion. You'll have leftovers from your salsa verde, so it works out perfectly. And we're just going to cook this for probably about 3 minutes until it's more translucent. And then from there, we're going to add some finely diced jalapenos, some sliced mushrooms, some corn. You can use fresh corn, but here I'm just using some frozen corn. And then we're just going to mix everything together and saute this for a few more minutes. We want the mushrooms to become more translucent and sort of shrink down and release some of their moisture. And then when it looks about like this, we're going to add in some minced garlic plus our spices. So today I'm using ancho chili powder and some cumin, which are very Tex-Mex spices. We're also going to add a pinch of salt. This is going to help the mushrooms release even more moisture because we don't want our enchilada filling to be too soupy or soggy. So we're going to stir the spices in and then cook this down for about 1 to 2 minutes. As you can see, the chili powder sort of making everything a little bit more red. And then at this point, we're going to add in our baby spinach. I haven't tried this with frozen spinach. I think it would definitely work better with fresh spinach because it's a lot less soupy, has a lot less moisture in it. So you're just going to add your frozen spinach to the pot and then cook it down until it's pretty well wilted. This is good enough for me because we're just going to set this aside while we prepare our tortillas, and the spinach might wilt a little bit more. So now to roll our enchiladas, we're going to warm our tortillas, and the easiest way to do this is in a microwave. So here I have a clean kitchen towel that I've just soaked with water and then wrung out the excess. You're going to add your tortillas to the center of the towel and then fold the towel over the tortillas and then microwave this for 1 minute. The tortillas are going to get nice and steamy. And corn tortillas in general, when they're just cold, they're pretty hard to fold or like really do anything with. So it's always best to warm your tortillas. And as you can see here, they become a lot more flimsy and pliable, which makes them a lot easier to roll. So you only want to remove one tortilla at a time and just keep the rest covered so they stay nice and warm. But before we go on to rolling our enchiladas, we're going to prep our baking dish. So in a 9x13 or similar sized pan, we're going to start by adding 1 cup of our salsa verde to the bottom of the pan, and then just use a spatula to spread it around so it's nice and even across the bottom, because we don't want any of our tortillas to stick to the pan once we put them in there. Another easy way to do this is just to take the sides of your pan and shake it so the sauce will evenly fill all of the corners. But once you got your salsa going on, then we can roll our tortillas. So you're going to place your warm tortilla on a small plate and then put, I'd say, between 2 and 3 tablespoons of filling into the center. You probably need less than you think you do. And then we're just going to roll this up. It's very, very easy. You're going to sort of roll in thirds. So you take the bottom, fold it up, roll it up, and then fold it over again. And then the side with the open fold, you're going to take that and put the folded side onto the bottom of the tray. So it sort of seals the enchilada in. So you're just going to keep continuing to do this until you roll all of your tortillas. And you really want to pack them in there as tightly as possible. This helps the roll stay intact. And then last but not least, nobody wants to eat dry enchiladas. So we're gonna coat these babies in another cup of the salsa verde. You can use a spatula, but if you have a pastry brush, I recommend using that just to make sure you're nicely coating all of those tortillas. And if you have any vegan cheese that you want to add, you can add it if you want, but I decided to leave it off. This is what they look like once they finish baking. I just topped them with some jalapenos, some cilantro, and some finely diced white onion. And I served them with some beans on the side. They're very filling, tasty, and delicious. Alright guys, and there you have it. Leave a comment below and let me know if you've had enchiladas before and if you're gonna make this recipe. I will say that these are Tex-Mex style enchiladas and not Mexican enchiladas. So enchiladas originally come from Mexico, and in Mexico they're always made with corn tortillas, and the tortillas are actually lightly fried. Sometimes they're coated in sauce and then fried, sometimes they're fried and then coated in sauce. And then they're filled with filling, and they're actually served more like warm but not really hot. And then Tex-Mex enchiladas a lot of times are made with flour tortillas, but they can be made with corn tortillas too. And those tortillas usually are not fried, and they're just stuffed with filling, then rolled up, then put in a baking dish, and then like smothered in sauce. And there's usually a lot of cheese and cream and like heavy stuff going on with that too. I don't really like to go super heavy on the dairy-free cheese or cream stuff. I think this is a great filling meal. You could serve it as a main. You could also serve it with some rice and beans on the side. Either way, it's a great way to get in some veggies and some cozy flavor, like even though it's a great warm weather dish too. So as always, the full recipe is linked below, including some images from Pinterest if you want to save it for later. And yeah, if you like what you see here, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I post 1 to 2 new videos every single week, always revolving around vegan food and a vegan lifestyle. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a great day, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you continue to have one. Did I mess that up? I don't know. Honestly, I had a charred jalapeno margarita before filming this video, and I don't drink very much, and I feel like I'm jumbling my words a lot more. It's a lot harder to make YouTube video intros on the fly when you've had a drink beforehand and you don't drink very much. But anyways, thanks for watching the video. Hope you have a great one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.